Hello there, Michael Neff here with Gears Golf, and today I'm going to do a video on lie angle. Lie angle, we measure lie angle from the face center, and we give you a couple of numbers here. We give you the lie angle at impact, which would be, in this case, it's 2.6 degrees toe up. That would be the heel digging, and the toe would be upright. We also give you the lie angle of the actual golf club itself. And in the new build of Gears coming out soon, we're going to give you the lie angle at address, as well as impact and the difference and the static lie. And in this case, I picked Chris Baker. Chris Baker is a web.com player, really nice player, really nice guy. And I brought him up as kind of a cool example of, kind of what we would find or how I think we were able to assist him. So let's take him down, or let's go down the line here, and you can kind of see a visual of where he addresses the ball. And it's kind of tough to see here. In this particular build, we don't give you the address lie angle, but my guess is that his address lie angle is roughly around 5 or 6 degrees upright at address. So and that could be influenced by the length of his arms. It could be addressed by how he addresses the ball or his posture. But in this case, what he does, he addresses the club here pretty upright. And then by the time he gets to impact, that club is it's 2 degrees upright, 2.6 degrees upright, toe up, even though we have 20 millimeters of droop here. Okay, so even though the handle has raised and the shaft is drooping, which actually flattens the club, it's still toe up. So what we know is that when the toe of the golf club is up, if we look from above, when the toe of the golf club is up, the face angle will be closed. And when the toe of the club's digging, the face angle will be open. So in this case, Chris's face angle is really open on this particular shot, 6.7 degrees. And the path is 2.3 degrees open to the path. So he basically hit a little push cut here. And so what Chris is doing here is he's basically leaning the shaft forward to try and keep the face from being closed because of the lie angle. So if I were to flatten this golf club 2.5 degrees, the face would actually be more open. And so I can't just simply give him a flatter golf club and say hit the exact same shot, because what's going to happen is the ball is going to go right to right now. But what good players do, I found this be pretty consistent, is players lean the shaft forward when we see this lie angle upright, and I've seen really upright with really good players before too, is they have to really lean the shaft forward to compensate for the lie angle being so upright. And a lot of this could be a fact of the way they swing the golf club. Their hand path is really kind of low. See, the club kind of really lays down like underneath his right arm, and he keeps his hands really low to the ground. And usually when we see this, we see toe up players, and they're going to have to lean the shaft forward to keep the face from really closing. The problem with leaning the shaft forward like this is when we do that, we hit down on it a lot. So the more we lean the shaft forward, we're kind of handle dragging, which pushes the angle of attack down, and it pushes the club path more to the inside out. And we are robbed of good launch conditions when we see this. Optimal ball flight cannot be accomplished unless the lie angle is as close to zero as possible. And that changes as the loft changes. So the more loft a golf club has, the more important the lie angle becomes. So if I had a driver that was 10 degrees toe up, a 9-degree driver that was 10 degrees toe up, the face would still be closed, but not as much as it would be on a 7-iron that had 31 degrees of loft. So remember, we're going face angle is the center of the face, not the leading edge. So what I found is a lot of players basically don't know, they're not in Chris's case, if you can kind of see here, he basically, this is where he hit his 7-iron, and he was complaining that he doesn't hit the ball very far, or that he doesn't feel like he's hitting the ball very far with his irons. He's got 90 miles an hour, 92 miles an hour club hit speed with a 7-iron, which is plenty. But he's losing ball speed by where he's hitting it. Some of this is the length of the golf club. So he's definitely, in my opinion, he's playing with too much length, and or standing too close to the ball, one of the two. And he also has to lean the shaft forward to negate this lie angle. So his clubs are actually a couple of degrees upright, and really the problem if I'm a club fitter and I'm just trying to sell him a set of clubs and I want optimal ball speed, I'm going to have to get the ball in the middle, but I'm also going to have to flatten the lie angle. And if I don't change his golf swing, if I flatten that golf club, he's going to not buy them, and he's probably going to send them back, or he's definitely not going to recommend people to me. But the only way I'm going to get Chris his optimal ball speed is if I flatten this golf club. And this would be actually a good thing for him, I think, because what would happen is he could swing the golf club more down the target line. The angle of attack would shallow out, and he wouldn't be hitting curve shots. So he wouldn't be missing the ball so much left or right, and he wouldn't be he would gain more ball speed. And ball speed, for a tour player, ball control is everything. They've got plenty of club head speed, but getting the ball to land on the green consistently at the spin and the launch and the landing area that you want is really a huge part of the game for all of us, actually. But for a tour player, very, very important. And so we were really able to help him by I had him choke down on his golf clubs a little bit, and that actually flattened the golf club naturally. And then I actually flattened the golf club a little bit too. And I said, hey, I want you to just take dead aim and don't worry about left. So oftentimes when I find in good players that struggle with this issue, lie angle toe up, or even lie angle toe down for the opposite reason. But this is like an anti-hook move. I don't want this to go left. Lean the shaft forward, skew the path to the right, hit down on it more. I curve the ball in, and I can still hit a good shot, but I'm really losing my odds and percentages of optimal ball flight and perfect landing conditions are compromised at this point. Droop plays a huge factor in lie angle too, because the center of gravity of the golf club is somewhere about right in here in the golf club. The head is always trying to align itself up with the end of the golf club. So when we raise the handle, the club is going to droop, and the more it droops, the more the face angle opens. So some players really raise the handle to compensate for that lie angle. Raising the handle can be a bad thing if you do it too much. It's going to increase the need for closure rate. It's going to, you're most likely going to stall out if you stand up to hit the ball. If your handle raises, we see Ricky Fowler kind of does this. He raises the handle a lot. And I think a lot of that is born out of the fact that, as these kids grew up, they're playing with really upright golf clubs, and the only way they can hit the ball straight is to raise the handle a lot. And obviously to get power when we jump from the ground, we raise the handle and we stand up. So there's a lot of bad habits that can come from golf clubs that are too upright or too flat. If you're a club fitter and you want to sell golf clubs, sometimes you're going to have to keep, in Chris's case, if I really wanted this ball to go dead straight, I would make this club more upright. Actually, I couldn't make it go dead straight because the path. But if I wanted the face to path to be 0 on this particular shot, I would need to make the golf club more upright. And then what would happen, though, is my ball speed it would be very difficult to get good ball speed. Even if I hit it right in the center, I would not get optimal ball speed because the loft would be, we're not going to get maximum energy transfer. So in this case, I can't simply just give Chris I can't give him optimal ball speed and a straight ball flight without changing his golf swing. So ideally what I'd like to do is get the lie angle flat on the ground, and I'd like to get the path closer to 0, and I'd like to get the angle of attack shallowed out a little bit more, and I'd like to get this face angle a little more closer to the path and closer to 0. And then what would happen is we'd see more balls, a lot more consistent results of ball speed, but again, good players find a way to hit the sweet spot or hit the ball as close to the target as they can. And even at this level, I've seen this a lot where lie angle can really skew a player. In this case, I think his coach John Perna is fighting his golf club, as much, if not more, than he's fighting Chris as a student. And understanding where the launch is coming from and where the loft and lie angle are coming from are really critical. Remember that lie angle is totally connected to the loft of the golf club. As I increase the lie angle, the face angle is going to open and the loft is going to go up. And whenever we influence that, we're really struggling. And hey, Gears is awesome. The worst case scenario is at least use a lie board, or paint the ball and see what or do a Sharpie on the ball to see what the impression leaves on the club face to really get that angle. But Gears has the most accurate lie angle measurements in the industry, bar none, and we're really proud of that. And we want you to utilize and understand this feature a lot. So unfortunately, you can't just be a club fitter. You can't be just a teacher. You really have to understand both. The thing I'm most proud about Gears, of everything that we do and as hard as we've worked, and my most proud accomplishment of Gears is that we've really, in my opinion, we've bridged the gap between club fitting and instruction. And I think the thing that I've really tried to hammer home to people is that you can't just be a fitter, you can't just be a teacher. You really need to understand both here. This is a perfect case study of being able to understand what the lie angle could be doing to a player and what the player could be doing to compensate for lie angle. At the end of the day, what you want is you want the ball in the middle, you want the lie angle as close to 0 as possible, and you want to get that face to path as close to 0, and you want to get that path as close to 0 as you can, or close to whatever intended ball flight you're trying to accomplish. That's the only way to get optimal ball speed and consistent ball speed time after time. And that's why, the best ball strikers line these things up really well. So anyways, that's a little, I do actually want to bring up a driver here. Because driver is another factor. Lie angle with driver is kind of a factor. If you can see Chris here, his teacher's doing a great job. If you can hit 6 balls right on top of each other, then great. In Chris's case, he's playing a 45-inch driver here. He's kind of experimenting with a 45-inch driver. He just went back to 44.5, and his ball speed went way through the roof. But his lie angle with his drivers only 4 degrees upright. Now, if we look down the line and we see the impact, the address, the driver's probably 12 or 13 degrees upright, and then at impact, the shaft droops, the handle raises, the shaft droops, and the club flattens. And the lie angle is still toe up though. And with a driver, because there's not as much loft on the driver, it doesn't close the face statically as much. So the more loft you have, the more important lie angle becomes. But the driver loft does matter. I used to not think that, but Gears has taught me since otherwise. The lie angle, even if you have low loft, the lie angle still affects the face angle. So in Chris's case here, at face center, the face is a little open, but at touch, it's a smidge closed because of where he hit it. If he were to if I were to flatten this golf club to get it down to 0, that would open the face more. I'd still hit it on the heel, but it would open the face a little bit more than it is currently. Unfortunately, we can't really bend drivers nowadays. So Tom Wisham makes a 55-degree driver, and the Arrow Burner last year, I think, is the only driver you can still buy in the market and have it flattened. There's some of the old drivers you can bend, but we're kind of at a disadvantage. Hybrids have a huge lie angle issue. The more loft we have, most everybody hooks hybrids, seems like, and they're all really upright. And, you know, that's been one of my, I've had so much success selling hybrids because of that feature. So many good players struggle with hybrids because they just hook them so much. So we can flatten hybrids, and we can, you know, if we flatten hybrids, we really have a lot more success keeping the face to path more clean. So even though the shaft is drooping here and the club is flattening, it's still toe up, which is keeping the face closed more than it would be if it wasn't. And in Chris's case here, you can see this is a really straight ball, 0 path, 0 face to path. He's not leaning the shaft or dragging the shaft as far forward as he does the iron. And so he's able to take advantage of some launch conditions and get the ball launched up a little bit more. If he were to have to really lean the shaft forward. So Jonas Blixt right here has the handle way forward and the handle lower, which causes which his lie angle is like 12 degrees upright, and he's going to have to lean the shaft or drag the handle even more to compensate for that lie angle. Back in the day, Hogan, Snead, Palmer, all these kind of low vertical swing players, Trevino for sure, they used to flatten their drivers. They reboard their drivers down to 50 degree. And today Chris is playing a 60 degree driver. And when we had Nick Price on the system, he told me that he basically used to bend shafts. When he was a kid, he used to just bend the shaft flat to do that, which is, I think, illegal. But he told me that, or I actually asked him when he was #1 in the world and he was like one of the best drivers in the world. I asked Nick what driver he played with, and it was a 43.5-inch driver that was 6 degrees aloft. It was 3.5 degrees open, and the lie angle was, I think he said, 52. So if I gave Nick Price a modern driver that was 60 degrees upright, he's going to hit everything in the heel. He's going to hit, the lie angle is going to be way up and the face is going to be closed. He's going to have to change his golf swing to compensate for that. And the more loft the product has, the more important that becomes. And the manufacturers make the drivers really upright nowadays because in an attempt to help the slicer. So it matters. Lie angle does matter with the driver. So I wanted to throw the driver in there. In Chris's case, by shortening the driver, we do a couple of things. We flatten it a little bit, and we get all these marks in the middle. And immediately the ball speed went up. So he actually was a lot closer with his iron than his driver. The biggest thing was his wedges. So seeing what that lie angle was and seeing how much it was affecting his path was really an eye-opener for him. And being able to measure that lie angle accurately is so important, and able to understanding what direction we need to go with a player and telling us, hey, are we fighting this golf club or are we fighting the player? So I hope Gears can help you. I hope this helps you when you use Gears to, be able to kind of use this tool to help you improve your students and improve you as a professional and understanding these principles better. At the end of the day, you want to get that lie angle as close to 0 as possible and get that ball in the middle of the face as much as possible to accomplish the fastest ball speed conditions. So, oh, by the way, if you were wondering, he's got basically more droop than deflection. We'll get into shaft next time. But he's one of the few players that has positive shaft kick, tour players that we've measured, and we cleaned that up right away. So he was super happy with that as well. But even at this level, at the web.com tour level, he played in the U.S. Open, and he played in a couple PGA Tour events this year. Even at this level, we see opportunities for improvement, and so hopefully you can utilize this information. And if you have any questions, please shoot it to me. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks a lot.